Check it out.
Journalism, a program for the people, is a study dedicated to storytelling and pursuing the truth. Welcome to Where You At, a podcast where we take you inside the work of alumni for the School of Journalism and Media Studies at San Diego State University. Our goal, to show you the success of our alumni, inspire students with the stories, and connect students and alumni on the path of journalism and success. Now, here's your host, me, Rami Alarian. Hello, listeners. I am so happy to be here today. As always, we have a very special guest, Brittany Cruz-Fejeran. She has been surrounded by journalism her whole life, born and raised on Guam, a visual journalist and a co-founder of Daylight San Diego, a local journalism startup focused on providing stories for diverse communities, not just surrounding them. Please give a Where You At welcome to Brittany. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited to be here, excited to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll just get right into things as we always do. Tell me about your time at SDSU. You're a journalism student, but also history, correct?
Yeah, so I was a journalism major with a history minor, and I did that because I obviously, journalism going to like J school and learning the foundations of journalism is really good, but I wanted to have a historical background while I was going into while I would go into my career because history is so important and it's so important to understand that in our career as well as journalists. So yeah, I really enjoyed my history minor and I'm such a nerd for it. I took I took classes in like Asian American experiences, the history of slavery, history of human rights. That's a doozy. That's a real
Really?
doozy. Mm-hmm.
Here at SDSU?
Yeah. It's a really interesting topic because it basically, what I learned from it is that the United Nations, specifically in decolonization, there was a committee on decolonization. Like in Asia and Africa, there were already a lot of movements towards decolonization. This committee on decolonization kind of just piggybacked on what was already happening. They don't really do much anymore, but they're there, and it's great that they're there.
I never get taught history lessons on this podcast. This is wonderful.
Yeah, and you know what's also is really important, what we learn is that in the history of human rights, it's always been a global effort to push for rights. It was never one person who did it. And it was, when we read about these instances, it was always the non-governmental organizations, the protesting, the act of being dissatisfied with something and continuing to voice that dissatisfaction. That is what led to change.
What a great preface to your work, which is what we're going to be talking about today.
I know, yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, understandable and completely agree. And I can understand now why Daylight is something that you've co-founded and kind of gone on the path of, especially being a history person, especially the classes that you told me. 3 subjects that are all too important to know today.
Yeah, well, I mean, also, yeah, those are my majors. But while I was doing that, I was at the Daily Aztec as a staff writer and photographer. I really loved writing about queer issues, and one of my favorite stories that I did was a feature on Gossip Grill, which is like one of the few not lesbian, femme-forward bars in the country. And they don't like to be called a lesbian bar because they accept everybody who has the owner said anyone who has an ounce of feminism in them or femininity in them, they're welcome at Gossip Grill. That was one of my favorite stories. I loved, I did a photo essay and a story on these 2 drag queens, a drag mother and a drag daughter, who they bonded through their love of drag and activism. So they used their drag as a platform to fight for the rights that they believed in. Amber St. James, she, is an activist in the Black community and in the queer community as well. And she is the drag mother of Lady Blanca, who is very active in speaking out on Latinx issues and it was a really beautiful union between them because they just really cared about their communities and used their platform to speak out on that. And then another story I really loved was there was this one student. She was basically studying how poop can decompose. She was trying to figure out ways to there are different components to her research, but her main focus was poop, how it can decompose.
Mhm.
Are there ways that we can treat it at the source, like at your home toilet before it gets outside and then it has to go through a treatment center? And then
Mhm.
she also was trying to look for ways to make septic tanks last longer because when that waste sits for a really long time, every so often, I think every 5 years you have to have it emptied out. So she has this system where there's like a way to churn the waste so it doesn't harden and it makes your septic tank last longer. But and then also when you leave poop out, it creates like a biogas. She was trying to figure out a way if like, if there was in an impoverished country, if they like needed power, for example, she was trying to figure out like, is there a way to use poop to create a biogas that could possibly like power a small stove?
All
Um,
in one story.
yeah, yeah.
Seemed
So it's
interesting.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, it was exploring. It was a lot, but I talked in that story about exploring different options and different ways that like poop can present opportunity. Yeah, so I really love the stories I did at SDSU. And while I was the photo editor there, I what I focused on rather than taking photos is I really loved mentoring other photographers. Like as a photographer, I tried to give like the assignments to my photographers rather than
Mhm.
me. And then I wanted to mostly be there for like constructive criticism and to give them tips on like what they can do better. Just because I love photography and I love the different ways you can go about it and how strategic each shot is. So I really wanted to teach that to other photographers. So that was my favorite part about being the photo editor is getting to teach people. And also Bella Buono, she was one of my photographers as well.
Whoa, yeah.
Yeah.
Editor right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm so proud of her. And yeah, she was a rock star while I was there. So I'm not surprised she's where she's at. Um while I was at the Daily Aztec, I also started the Asian American Journalists Association with my best friend Caitlin.
Oh wow.
And yeah, my best friend Caitlin and I and two other Daily Aztec journalists. We all met at the Asian American Journalists Association networking event, and we are like, "Oh my gosh, there's like five of us. Let's make a SDSU chapter for AAJA." So, although
Awesome.
I'm not Asian. I'm Pacific Islander.
Mhm.
Pacific Islanders often get lumped up with the Asian American community. So yeah, despite that, there are still Pacific Islanders I can reach through the Asian American community, through the Asian American Journal Association network. So I started that with my best friend and a couple other colleagues, and we did a bunch of fundraising. We did like a self-defense lesson. We brought people in. I believe in 2023, at the time I was president of AAJA, me and a couple other of the AAJA officers, we were able to fundraise money to send ourselves to Lahaina to report on the aftermath of the fires because
Mhm.
one of our mentors, Joanne Fields, she was already going there on a philanthropic effort during Christmas to pass out gifts to kids. So
Wow.
we were like, can we go with you? Can we try and report on this issue? Yeah, we that was one of the biggest accomplishments because it was me, Sumaya Wegner, Katrina Tran, and Hannah Le. We before we went there, we all made sure to study like Hawaiian culture. And I told them like,
Mhm.
this is a community that has been harmed by
Yep.
media. what we want to do when we get there is practice informed consent, which is like letting them know throughout our interview that this is where it's going to be published. You have every right to say no if you don't want to, you know. Yeah, it was a really beautiful experience. And I remember someone telling us that we shouldn't go because, you know, people just going to Lahaina and leaving, it's like it causes strain on the survivors, which is very true. You know, by my mistake. Like before I was able to listen to this person who was a Native Hawaiian, I already got the tickets. That was really tough for me because it was like against everything that I believed in. Like I felt like we should listen to people first before acting. I told this person, I'm like, this is my mistake and I'm really sorry. Like I bought the tickets already, but you know, we want to do the best we can to help the people in Maui who've been affected by the fires, and we're going to be as respectful as we can. You know, it stuck with me that like I actually went against what someone who was Native Hawaiian said was best for their
Mhm.
people. When we went there and when we talked to the locals, I feel like what mattered is that we were really respectful. Before we even reported anything, we talked to people before I even lifted my camera. We asked them, is this okay? We don't want to intrude. We just want to learn and we want to be able to give you a voice. The way that we were able to talk to these people, they thanked us for being there and for listening to them and being conscious. And we even did an hour interview with someone who ended
Wow.
up saying that they didn't want to be included in the story anymore because it might jeopardize their personal life. We respected that. And I think that was really important because those people we're really grateful that we were receptive to them. Yeah, it was just an amazing learning experience and being able to give these people a platform and bring the story back because it was 6 months after the fire and no one's
Mhm.
reporting on it anymore. And we were able to bring that story back up and talk about it again
Yeah.
because these survivors are still dealing with it. Not only were we able to do that, but we were also able to learn about Hawaii and Maui while we were there.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful. Seems like a great opportunity. I think you also said that you might have founded a couple things in the Daily Aztec as well.
No, I wouldn't say I founded it, but I helped.
Bring something off the ground.
Yeah, I helped with the basement beats.
Yeah.
It wasn't like my idea or anything. It was my friend Hui Quinn, Gabriel Schneider. Gabriel Schneider was the editor-in-chief at the time, and Hui was a staff member. These guys would just jam, you know. They loved music, they loved to jam. And then they came up with the idea of basement beat. We did 4 bands per session. I believe
Oh, okay.
I was there for 3 of them, and then we would like chop them up and then we would produce them. We would publish them once a month. But yeah, I was there at the beginning of that. I wouldn't say I helped start it though.
Fair.
I was definitely like I helped with like I was in charge of like the videographers and like placing them and stuff. I don't know what that title is, but I help with that.
The title is Person Who Did a Good Job at Helping.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
Um,
I think that was on the credits.
yes, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's something that's still kicking. I remember I was the one that told you they're doing amazing right now with that, and it's collaborating with KPBS. I mean, clearly you've made some waves on this campus. That's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. It was, you know, I feel like SDSU just gave me so many opportunities to explore.
Mhm.
I loved my teachers and I mean my professors, and I loved the people I met. And Dr. Northup, he was our advisor for AAJA because
Awesome.
when we first when we first decided to start AAJA, it was like 4 days before the deadline to become a
Mm.
club. So we were like, okay, what do we have to do? So Caitlin at the time, she was editor-in-chief, and me and our other colleagues, we were all in her office, and we were like, hey, you create the bylaws, you do this, we need to find an advisor. So we were looking, you know, everyone was already taken, and then Dr. Northup was so gracious to be one of our advisors. Also, our other advisor was Dr. Lohagan with the APITA Center, and they were a huge support for us because we just we had ideas, we would run it by them, and they were like, you guys got it, you can do it. I feel like at SDSU that was just the vibe of it all. I felt like if
Yeah.
I had an idea, I had people who supported me, and I had like faculty and professors who were very supportive of what me and my friends wanted to do. And even, I loved the Apita Center. I was there often and I loved all the presentations they did. Whenever like I meet someone who's going to SDSU, I always tell them like, find your community there. There's if you have something you care about, there's probably a club for it. And it's a great place to explore. And it's not all about like, it's not just the parties and the fraternities and sororities, those are great, if that's what you're into, but there's just so many other things you can do.
Yeah, yeah. Why did you choose SDSU?
I actually, I wasn't the type to like pick this is my dream college. When I was on Guam, it was always kind of like in my mind, like, okay, I'm gonna go, after I graduate high school, I'm gonna go to college at in San Diego. And my dad, he lived out here since 2001. He kind of just was holding the fort until I
Hmm.
could get here and I could have the opportunity to go to school. And he helped me figure out what I was gonna do because like I'm like fresh from Guam. I don't know anyone here except for my dad, and he has his own family, and we're really, me and my half siblings were close, but it's just crazy going your whole life being somewhere and then going to a place where I felt like I didn't exist for so long. Yeah, I it was my dad that steered me on the path to like go to community college first because it was only affordable. Well, that was the option. It was affordable. And I paid for my college the whole way through. He didn't help me with
Hmm.
anything. I went to community college and SDSU it just seemed like the right way to go.
Yeah.
And while I was in community college, I met a lot of people from the Daily Aztec. And I did a lot of networking when I was in community college, and there were so many journalists in San Diego who are alumni. It just felt like the right way to go, and I'm so glad that I went to SDSU because it felt like the perfect fit for me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's really wonderful. All these connections, networking is big. That's a lot of what SDSU is great for, or just being in college in general, as any profession is, but especially journalism. How did all the opportunities at SDSU kind of set you up for your career?
I did my internships before I went to SDSU. So I interned at the Voice of San Diego and the San Diego Union Tribune. The people that I met there, well, mostly at the UT, they were alumni at SDSU and they, were encouraged me to go. While I was at SDSU, there were so many I feel like they often, whenever professors would bring in professionals, I would always talk to them and get their contact information.
Mhm.
And I just thought it was so valuable to talk to people who were like in the field while I was in college. I think the main thing, whenever I networked, I did it out of SDSU, unless it was like a professor who brought in
Mhm.
someone. I think the main thing that SDSU was able to do for me was allow me to explore all of the skills that I could do. There were a lot of times when our professors would bring in guest speakers. Student journalism chapters would bring in their speakers. Those were always really great opportunities to network.
Yeah, yeah. I feel the exact same way. And just speaking to your point from earlier, just so many clubs. There's probably a club on this campus for you and for your interests, whatever that may be. And I will say that SDSU has felt like a well-rounded place in that field. So I couldn't agree more. And every person
Yeah.
that comes into classes is someone that has put a little bit of value into my brain and
Yeah,
given
and
me some valuable experience.
what I loved the most is the professors that I met there. Like one of my favorite professors, if not my favorite, is Dr. Lourdes Chacon, Cuevas Chacon.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved her. In her classes, she seems really strict, or
Mm,
she is strict. If you're not paying attention, she'll be like, "Hey, pay attention." More than that, she really cared about how we progressed as
yeah.
journalists. Like she really cared. There are professors there that'll just let you do the work and do the minimum. Dr. Chacon, she really cared about us and our progress. And she taught me a lot about like how to be a journalist of color. I remember it was like the first time I felt really seen because there was a time where, I'm a part of the Chamorro community. I'm Indigenous Chamorro from the Marianas. I felt that we aren't covered enough as a people. And I didn't know how to approach that. Like, I don't know how to cover my people because we have a culture that has been historically oppressed. We don't have a lot. At the time, this is what I thought. So I asked one of my professors who was white, like, what do I do? And then they were like, well, what's something flashy you guys do? And I'm like, well, I mean, like, the only thing about like Chamorro is, we love to eat. We have we have like fiestas. We love to party. We love to be with our people or community.
Mhm.
We have cultural dancing and shoot. And then they were like, "Oh yeah, the dancing. Why don't you capture the dancing?" And then they're trying to nitpick those things, like capture when you have to, when we greet each other, we always touch cheeks, or we do like the ñoet, like put your hand, hold the elder's hand toward our forehead and bow. They're like capture that, and I just felt like that doesn't explain who we are, though. And then when I posed the same question to Dr. Chacon and I asked her, I told her what this other professor said, and I was like, I just don't think that's enough. And then Dr. Chacon told me, like, well, the thing about journalists is sometimes when we approach culture, we only see culture as what's ancient and what was taught in the ancient past. But culture is modern, culture is now. We have to figure out a way how to approach or how to capture what culture means today and not just keep that ancient version of Chamorros as the only thing that's relevant. So that blew my mind. And that was like the first time I felt like I could actually like, okay, I can actually cover my people and like cover them in a genuine way and not in a way that's like kind of traditional, more intimate like I wanted. Yeah, that was a conversation that I'll never forget with her. And it's definitely guided me into the way I want to approach all cultures too.
Yeah, I absolutely inspire, and I think that most definitely resonated with me as well. It's hard to report, I guess, on certain cultures without talking to them and getting to know them and actually understanding them. And if you just
Hmm.
go on practices, it's gonna be a rough story for you.
Yeah.
Or it might just be a one and done if it's something that you're not actually actively caring about. But I think you spoke to something that's really important when it comes to arts and culture, is that you have to care, you have to want to be there, you have to want to talk to these communities. Telling their story isn't as easy as what they eat, if it's not super obvious,
What they
or
eat and what they wear when they do their ancient dances. When you get past that like vision of like, okay, so indigenous people, the Kumai people, like, are we
Mhm.
only going to photograph them when they're dancing? Oh, Amor is the magazine Amor.
Oh, you were in a more.
I was
That's
also in
awesome.
Amor. Yeah, I also started Amor
That's really
too.
cool.
Yeah, I think the last issue we did, I wrote a poem about
Oh.
how I feel about this. And it was like,
Hmm.
I forgot what it's called, but basically it was like you only care about me when I'm dancing.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that was the preface of the poem, and I wrote it in English, and then I had a friend of mine help me translate it in Chamorro, my native language that I'm also trying to learn how to speak too. I can't believe I forgot about that poem.
I think I actually might have read it.
Oh my God.
I read the whole magazine, and of course I'm going to flip to the poem and any poem in any magazine and read it right away. Uh,
Oh,
so that's wonderful. That's wonderful. What a connection. I mean, you had a lot of accomplishments at SDSU. So I
yeah.
congratulate you. It seems like you used your time up to its fullest. Um,
Yeah.
But I wanted to get into fresh out of state.
Okay.
I wanted to transition away and see what you were doing right out of good old San Diego State University.
Yeah, so right out of right out of college, post-grad depression. Got to put that out
It's
there.
so hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really hard, and it's okay though because it's a really tough transition from having structure, having these classes to then having absolutely no structure at all. So yeah, it's like a real thing, but we get through it and everything will be okay because I'm okay now. But after that, I that was around the time when the Union Tribune got bought out by a hedge fund. A bunch of these journalists that I truly admired and were inspired by, they either got laid off or they took buyouts, begrudgingly. And that just sucked as someone who just graduated from journalism college and like seeing the state of the industry now, especially with the people that I knew personally. I didn't know what to do at that point. I was kind of thinking, I'll just go off on my own. I'll just freelance. And that's what I did for a while. I joined a language immersion program for my for tomorrow. And what I wanted to do with that was I wanted to do my own project on what it's like to reclaim your culture that you've denied for so long or you have not had access to for so long. It was crazy because I was involved in it and I was involved in this immersion program. And usually, as journalists, we're not supposed to be involved in it, but this was just something I did for me. Not only did I participate in the program, but I also talked to some of my colleagues who were in the program with me about what it's like to find your find your culture late in life. And I still haven't finished that project just because I've gotten so busy, but
Yeah.
I've also been afraid of it because if I finish it, I could fail. I'm saying this right now. I'm gonna finish it. Um,
Now it's out
just
there. Now
yeah,
it's
just
gonna
so
now
yeah,
this
just
goal is
so
gonna be published.
now you can hold me accountable, Rami.
I hope so.
Yeah. But I went into that wanting to do a story on culture
Hmm.
and my culture in particular. That's still in the works. And then after that, I was freelancing more. And then Lauren Mapp, she used to work for the UT. She reached out to me and told me about Daylight. Yeah, she told me that Maheshi Krishnan, and Kate Morrissey, we want to build a newsroom that is for communities and listens to communities first, tries to actually reach the audiences in the best way possible and write for them and not just about them.
Yeah.
And I feel like that mission really resonated with the things that I wanted to do because I also didn't want to work for like a story mill, where they just push out stories that don't really matter. I want these stories the stories I tell to benefit people. And their mission really spoke to me. And now I'm here. And now I'm a visual journalist with them. We have all these amazing ideas of what we can do for the community. And what I love the most about us is that we hold listening sessions with community members, and we're trying to arrange a couple more before the end of the year, but it's like getting to like election season and then holidays, so it's getting a little hard. But yeah, it's what I really love because we've gotten lots of feedback from communities. I think what we do is what I feel like is that our audience is for the younger generation. We want to reach the younger generation. We want to report on them as well. But then also we want to reach people who don't read the news that often as well. And we want to address things like news burnout, and we want people to like actively want to come to us as a resource. That's just a lot of the stuff that we that
Yeah.
that we aspire to be. But yeah, I'm really excited to be with them, and I feel like as a photojournalist, I'm able to put my all into my assignments, knowing that we're going to use more than one photo because one photo doesn't like it can tell a story, but like having a good old photo essay where you can get those
Hmm.
wide shots and those medium shots and the close-ups, that really tells the whole thing. And I feel like photo essays give more care into the story and
Hmm.
it shows that we were really there. We saw you.
Yeah, what drew you into visual journalism specifically?
When I was a kid, I was scrolling through my iPhone looking for apps to play. And then I saw, this was like in middle school, and I saw Instagram, where Instagram was still just photography. And then when I downloaded it, I saw all these beautiful photographers and the photos that they took, and I just felt so inspired. So that's how I just got into photography. And then I knew that I didn't want to be a commercial photographer because I wanted my like photos to help people or to like, benefit the community. That was just kind of like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do out of high school. And then I was in the yearbook in high school, and where I really fell in love with photojournalism was at community college when I was, yeah, when I first started there, I was at the Southwestern College Sun. That's where I actually had peers who also were into journalism and photojournalism, and they taught me how much more photojournalism can do and like what it actually is. And I was like, whoa. So I can tell these really beautiful stories through my photos and like I'm the one that controls the way a story looks. So it's a lot of responsibility to be able to encapsulate the story into photographs. I just think it's beautiful. And then also the science of how to make a photo, how to make someone like pay attention to your photo is so interesting
Hmm.
because there's the rule of thirds, but then there's also this method or there's this theory where like people look at photos in the shape of the letter Z. So people's eyes usually start at the top left corner and then they
Hmm.
graze the top and then they go down to the bottom left corner and then they graze down to the bottom right. So like I love having all of those techniques in me, trying to use all of that, everything that's in front of me to create a really beautiful image. But yeah, I love when someone like looks at my photo and be like, "Oh my God, that's amazing. That's what was going on. This is what told this. That is what the story is."
Yeah, yeah. I've taken too many photo classes, and the science behind a photo still confuses me to this day. So I award anyone that can figure it out because there's always something to learn, you know. That truthfully is the truth because it's an art and it's a science.
Yeah, and I
Um,
think it takes it. Oh my gosh, I've been like I'm a self-taught photographer, but it's been like I don't know, like maybe like 12 years that I've been taking photos.
yeah,
So, and
yeah.
I still feel like I have so much to learn. Like I don't feel like a
Always,
professional.
always, there's
So,
always going to be something to learn. I mean,
yeah.
especially in journalism.
Yeah, I told the class that I was just at that, you're always going to leave an assignment wishing you did better. And that means you're going to get better. And that's
Yeah.
something I have to tell myself too, because sometimes I'm a little too hard on myself whenever like I miss a photo or I didn't ask a question. Then we just learn from that.
Most definitely. Let's get a little bit more into the daylight of it all.
Yeah.
The heart of daylight and a little bit more about I guess how it came to be. I'm interested in that. How you more became this co-founding member and what it looked like for you in your early time.
So I was brought in maybe like more than 6 months after, maybe, I'm not even sure, like maybe a little, almost a year after they're like, okay, this is happening.
Yeah.
So it was Maya and Kate. They were talking about, the state of the industry and how everything like sucks right now. And, there are journalism organizations that aren't serving the people the way that they should be. From there, that's when they're like, let's make our own thing. That's how Daylight came to be. And then they brought in Lauren. And then after that, they brought me in. And I remember the first thing that I was actually involved in was the first listening session ever at Queen Bee's.
Awesome.
And that was like the first thing that we'd ever done. And I think being a co-founder of it, it takes a lot of like mental fortitude and strength to, produce something that's completely new. And we're all working for free right now. So I think, everything that we've done so far, I'm so proud of. But as like when I started as a when I was at the listening session, I remember asking Lauren, what do I say? How do I introduce myself? What am I? Because I wasn't sure if they if they wanted me to be a co-founder or just be someone a part of it. And she was like, I mean, like human, Brittany, co-founder, whatever you want. I was like, oh, okay. I was brought in later in the game when daylight started, but I think like in the beginning stages it was all listening. We did listening sessions at Queen Bee's. We did it at the Meeting Place Clubhouse. That place it's a place where people adults with mental disabilities can come and seek resources and also seek community within each other. And then we also had a listening session with the API Coalition where we did an online listening session, but then I also taught them how to create press releases. So these nonprofits are able to advertise their events better to TVs, to news organizations. And then we've tabled. So a lot of the beginning was just listening. One of the biggest things that we heard is that like people have news burnout. They don't want to read the news anymore. And oftentimes it's not even like the local news that they see too. It's just like the national news.
Hmm.
National news and then also occasionally local news. Whenever we talk to people, they say that they see too much bad news and that's why they don't listen anymore or they don't seek it out. And then people also want resources from us too. And that's also what we really want to provide. And we're a small
Very good.
team, but we want to provide that for the people because we want the people to lead us and
Mhm.
we want to serve them the way they want to be served. And then also internally, Daylight, we are worker owned. So we don't have a boss. We're
Mhm.
all we are all on the same level. We all share our own ideas and support each other. We also prioritize our mental health as journalists too, because we've all had that experience where we've just been worked to the bone. Burnout is the number one thing that gets journalists out of journalism. That's why we want to be able to take care of ourselves, so we can continue to do this really good work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's amazing what you guys are doing. I am kind of curious what Daylight hopes or does offer to the journalism space that you guys think we don't see as often or should see more.
I think what we do, we're not replacing organizations. That's not what we see ourselves as,
Of course.
because every organization does amazing work. There are some things that are missed, and that's what we want to do. We want to fill those gaps. So, like, for example, events coverage in San Diego, there are so many things to do. Another one of our feedbacks is people want to know what they can do in San Diego. What are the things that they can do? But also, I think what really sets us apart is actively listening to our community. What we want to do is create these lasting relationships with them and rebuild trust. That may not look like anything solid, but it's something that we use, in our everyday practices. This is what we want, regardless of where we go. We are trying to rebuild trust with the community and journalists. But I think the most unique thing we do of all is our listening sessions.
Yeah, yeah. And I saw you guys even have an events calendar. So I was taking a look at that and I'm like, oh, that's not something I often see, especially the events that you guys are covering. I was like, oh my God, I would want to actually go to these. This is
Yeah.
stuff I would want to get covered. No, you're absolutely right. What does your work specifically look like in an individual sense on a maybe day to day or week to week basis?
I I do our photography, and then I also do our newsletter roundup, which is a weekly video of me just doing like reading headlines over a green screen. And then I am trying to work on doing more video projects for our stories as well. Because what we also want to do is provide our stories in different mediums. We have our written stories, and that's like often the default, but I've been trying to think of ways to, to add video to that. And yeah, so I have a project that I'm working on right now, that I'm excited about. And also what I want to do is like what me and my colleague Sam are trying to do. We're trying to figure out content that will engage people in our socials. And then sometimes I do a story or two, but writing is not my strong suit, so I try to stick to the visuals. And then like if I don't have any like photos to do, we all work together to fill out the event calendar and stuff.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in I guess in practice, what does it mean to tell stories about and tell stories for underserved communities?
I think when we say that, it means that the stories we tell are the ones that the communities want to hear.
Mhm.
Not in a way that like we're just giving like candy to a baby. It's like we think that this is what the community wants their reporting to be on. Like rather than just, for immigration, for example, when Kate reports on these issues, it's not just like an outside looking in. She's with these people. She's talking to them. She's talking to volunteers that are involved with, going to immigration court and accompanying someone going to court, and also like just really asking them what they want out of an organization, what they want out of a
Yeah.
news organization. So it really is like a part of our active listening to communities. When we say we want it to be for you and not just about you, we want to talk
Mhm.
to you. We want to frame it in a way that we are for the community first, rather than just getting a story out.
Listening is the name of the game.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
understand. Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. I absolutely love the initiative and, something that I sometimes often don't see in journalism, something that can speak to communities in a more individual sense. That very, very community focused journalism
Yeah, and I
is
think,
always something inspiring.
there are, the journalists do this, they create relationships with people. But the reason why we say it so much is because we want the communities to know that we want to listen to you. And I think
Mhm.
that's what's really important is the community perception of us as a news organization is that we want to be community first.
And as we wrap up, I always want to ask, are there any moments throughout your career that you think we haven't touched on yet, or any photojournalism moments, maybe even specifically, that you would want to highlight that have stuck with you?
I think one of the one of the things that I feel we never get over as journalists is imposter syndrome, and I still deal with that on the daily. For me as a photojournalist, I still get nervous after every assignment. I get anxious. I'm like worried I'm not going to do a great job. After that, I do it and it's great. And I think the reason why I say that is because I used to hope that the nerves would go away. And they got better for sure. Like I'm not, I'm more sure of myself with my skills, but the nerves didn't go away.
Yeah.
And I think it's okay. And you just have to believe in yourself, and you have to be strong, be confident that like you'll learn from your mistakes.
Speaking in the same vein, is there any advice that you've overheard or maybe that someone has told you that has helped throughout your journalism career?
Like you're a person first. The stories that we cover are really, they can be really heavy sometimes. And it's okay to admit if something is a lot for you. And we have to be able to set boundaries in our work life and in our like personal life as well. And I feel like that's so important to learn early on. And I'm practicing that now, making sure that I'm not going crazy with work, because this advice, the story will be there in the morning. All the problems will be there in the morning. Yeah, I remember being a student and being really frantic about all the things I had to do and all the stories I had to finish. And This was actually something Jesse Marks told me.
Yay.
Yeah, because he was the intern coordinator while he was at Voice of San Diego, and I worked with him a lot, and he told me the story will be there in the morning. Yeah, because we have like, I don't know, I don't think it's good to have such a unhealthy hustle mentality as a young journalist. The hustle, I don't want to glorify the hustle at all, but we do have to work really hard to make it in the journalism career, but at the same time, we have to remember to take care of ourselves and know when to stop.
Love it. Keep up the work-life balance. Is there anybody from SDSU that was in the JMS program that you think I should talk to or highlight?
Yeah, there's Caitlin Yuen. She was the editor-in-chief before me and also my best friend.
Oh.
Yeah, she's amazing as always. And then there's my friend Noah Lyons. He works with La Jolla right now, La Jolla Light right now, and I love the work that he does.
Mm.
Sam Hodson, he has his own business. He used to work at the Union Tribune, and now he has his own business
Wow.
called Uptown 11 Studios. And he used to be my mentor, and he is a really great person.
Wonderful. Lots of really good people.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much, Brittany. Thank you for chatting with me, and I hope everyone checks out Daylight San Diego. Any socials, I encourage people to check them out. I've been on them myself, and I will say they're great. I mean, it's great to get these kind of journalistic voices out there willing to serve us, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Rami.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Where Ya At podcast. This is Devin Watley from the class of 2021. Thanks to Martine Marine for creating the music you're hearing right now, and Alex Piscatelli for her work on the podcast name and artwork on social media. And a reminder to SDSU alums, we really want to know where you at. Tell us about your career. Get involved in the school. There's many ways you can do this, from donating your time or money, mentoring students, to even speaking in classrooms in person or on Zoom. Your work can help us grow the program and create more opportunities for our students to succeed. Again, thanks for listening. Subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends. Recommend us a future guest. And go Aztecs.